Did you ever have a point where you knew you needed to raise your prices and you were nervous about it? Like, was there ever a first point that you kind of had to get over?
I love bookkeeping.
Hi, everybody. My name is Hannah Robinson.
And I'm Melissa Honan.
And you are listening to the I Love Bookkeeping podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into a controversial but really important topic, and that is raising your prices and money. Melissa, I am really going to be asking you a lot of questions about this and get into the nitty gritty because I feel like you are the queen of knowing your worth and raising your prices. And I really think people need to hear from you. First of all, I'm trying to think of like a good first question to ask you about this.
Well, I can just start up and say that I have a lot of opinions. So we can start there.
That's amazing.
I have to make a little bit of a confession that I am known in the bookkeeping elite group as Big Bad Billing Melissa, because that is basically my role in the company. I will say that I just do it nicely though. So that's kind of where I want to kind of start off the conversation and say, first of all, for those of you that already have your business, go ahead and raise your prices 10 to 20%. I don't need to know how much you're charging. And I can already tell you that it's not enough, especially for women. Women in general are super hesitant to price themselves accordingly. And that's where a lot of the work that I do with other bookkeeping businesses is kind of talking to you about your worth and strategizing how to realize what you're worth, but then also ask for it in a professional, direct manner that just, shows what your worth is.
No, I was going to ask you, at any point in like your journey, and I hate the word journey, but at any point in your journey with entrepreneurship and owning a bookkeeping business, did you ever have a point where you raised your prices or you knew you needed to raise your prices and you were nervous about it? Like, was there ever a first point that you kind of had to get over to raise your prices even more and raise your profit margin?
I am nervous about raising my prices every single time I do it.
Okay.
And I'm in the middle of it. I'm in the middle of it right now. And I sent my first initial round of price increases based on how scared I was to hear their answer. I wanted to Mark Twain swallow the frog. And so I basically sent out all the price increases to the people I knew would say no. Because there are people that would say no, and we'll talk about no a little bit more later. There are people that will say no, and that is okay. And so I'll be honest, I sent the first round of price increases, and then I immediately started drinking. And, their responses started coming in. I highly recommend that for those of you. It's really healthy. But I highly recommend if you do this strategy to not respond to any of the emails that come back through. I made that mistake. I'm not going to lie. I did make that mistake. Where this was difficult was that this was the first time in really 6 years. I took what we would call our grandfathered clients, which are the people that started with us back in 2016. And I had to raise them to current market price. And we had never done that. We had always made an exception for those people. I love those people. They started with us. They started our business. But this year, with the labor market being as difficult as it is, labor prices being as difficult as they are, all of the increases in software costs, I cannot serve those people at the prices that they were at anymore. I had to raise them to my minimum. And for some of those people, it was a 250% increase. And I knew it wasn't going to go well. And I researched everywhere I could about how the best to do this. But the answer was, this is how much you can pay. this is why I need you to pay it. And this is the value that you're getting. And if you feel like I'm not worth that value, then it's time for us to part ways. So that was a really hard conversation. So I am, every single time I raise prices, I am always nervous, just because I was born with anxiety and no amount of medication will ever remove that from me. But it's important to grow through discomfort. There's no way to grow when you're comfortable in your business. And so you have to take that discomfort and just work through it in the best way that you can.
Well, what were some of the kind of the initial fears that go through your head when you ask for a price increase? Like, are you worried that people are just going to immediately kind of sever the tie with you and say, no, you're not worth it? Or what's kind of, then the reason why I'm asking this is because I think that's such a relatable subject, that people have a lot of fears about asking for a price increase because they're A, afraid of losing their clients, and B, I genuinely think people are really afraid of the backlash and the criticism. What were those some of your fears that you feel like you were going through?
100%. And I was just reading an article on NPR called "Why Women Don't Ask for More Money," and it's about negotiating raises in a typical workplace. And for those of us that come from that environment into entrepreneurship, I still think it's very helpful. So, we do, yes, need to stop thinking of ourselves as employees because now we're business owners. And that makes pricing conversations different, but it's a really hard transition. And I think we need to start somewhere and build our confidence. So I think that although this article is about negotiating a raise, it has a lot of really helpful information. The article said that women worry that pushing for more money will damage their image. And I was just blown away by how simple that was, but how profound. Women worry that pushing for more money will damage their image. Have you ever related to that?
Yes. So for those of you who are listening and don't know, I actually used to be a hair and makeup artist. And what's crazy is that this is something that I went through when it was time to raise prices and kind of level up, because your level of expertise goes up and I feel like, yes, your value increases, but I feel like 50% of your value increasing is believing that your value is increasing. And it is so, and that's something that you really have to be confident. And just really, I feel like kind of one of the most important parts of having value is believing you have value. Because, put it this way. If you are going to a surgeon and you have your pre-op appointment and your surgeon is like, yeah, well, I'm fresh out the gate, straight out of residency. We'll see how it goes. You're not going to have a lot of confidence in somebody who is performing a service for you like that. And I think that half the battle in these type of situations is just believing that you have value and confidently executing whatever it is, whatever service you're providing. And another thing that I learned.
That is so true.
Yeah. And something else that I learned, for every client that leaves you because you're too expensive, you're probably going to find two more that will pay double and that will appreciate your value. In a way, it sounds a little harsh because it's like, you don't want to treat people as if they're replaceable. But when it comes to your income and your money, you have to put your value first, I think. Is that something that you have struggled with or kind of had to face head on, is like really believing in the value that you have and that the expertise that you have that you provide for people?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I kind of thought about it as, not only how have I felt, but how do other people feel when it comes to asking for more money? If I ask for more money, they're going to think that I'm greedy. which that has always been like a sensitive topic for me. Like people are going to think that I'm greedy or rude or mean. If I ask for more money, they'll fire me. I need the money as it is. I can't lose this client, right?
Right.
I underpriced this client to start with. If I ask for more money, they'll want more services. I don't have the bandwidth for more work for this client. It's going to be a wash. And, like you had just mentioned, if you're going to lose that client, you really are going to replace them. And that's so hard. And that is why I have not done this in 6 years. But I was having that slightly tipsy email exchange with that client, which again, I do not recommend. But this will be me being relatable. You don't have to be super professional to have a professional bookkeeping firm. But they paid us $200 a month. And they basically just came back and said, you're not worth $495. That hurt. That really hurt my feelings. So I had this client basically say that we were not worth our minimum of $495. And that hurt my feelings, not for me, because even to this day, I don't always think that I'm worth $495, but I know that my bookkeeping team is worth more than that. And so in that instance, the client told me, I could go to QuickBooks Live and get bookkeeping services for $200. And I said, oh yeah, you should definitely do that, which is probably not the most professional response, but that's fine. Go ahead. Just go ahead. First of all, I think we all know QuickBooks Live is even increasing their prices. He probably can't get QuickBooks Live for $200 a month anymore. But it was really just the principle that not only did he offend me in that moment, he offended my bookkeeping team. And that's the one way that you can piss me off, is if you're mean to my bookkeepers, because they're just amazing people. And so I was really upset, and I was kind of down, and I let it bother me way too much, I'm going to tell you later on, these are all the things you need to not do. I'm a hypocrite. I do them every single time. And literally 30 minutes later, a proposal for a client was signed. I had been talking to him a couple days before for $1,095 a month. And he'll probably have the same production rate as that client that was paying us $200 a month. And he is a nice human being, so kind. He understands our value. He was so kind to me, so kind to my team. And when we onboarded him, he was responsive. He got us everything we asked for. He was, he is consistently just filled with gratitude. And it just really reinforced that, first of all, I should not have fought with that guy who would never have understood our values. There's just some people that will never understand. But that I really did need to grow through that discomfort. I just needed to just cut our losses, right? There's some people that will never understand our value. And I will say, out of the 27 people that I sent that same very, very well-crafted increase letter to, by the way, I spent way too much time writing that and creating it and sending a video to it. There was literally only the one. And I knew he was going to be the one, which is the one why I sent it first. So again, I don't want to scare you guys into doing this. Out of the 27 that I sent this email to, only one had a problem with it. We did lose 5 other clients because they did not want to go to our minimum price, and the rest increased their price to the minimum and thanked us for everything that we've done for them over the years. And so the math is there. I think it's something like you do these price increases, if you have a certain percentage price increase, you'll lose 20% of your clients. But with that 20% price increase that you're doing, it's going to be a wash, right? And that's exactly what happened for us. When we did these price increases, we have it with our total clients, we will lose approximately 18% of our clients. But with a 20% price increase across the board, it has been a wash. And we now have clients that are kind, appreciate us, value us, and it's really important.
Today's show is brought to you by Keeper, the one app to run your bookkeeping business. Keeper helps you get faster client responses with your own custom branded QuickBooks integrated client portal. Finally, you can say goodbye to those pesky spreadsheets full of uncategorized transactions. Keeper also helps you catch those embarrassing coding errors before your clients do. And with Keeper, you can generate beautiful custom reports that your clients will absolutely love to read. To find out more, go to keeper.app. That's keeper.app. Mention I Love Bookkeeping to get 20% off your first 3 months. Again, go to keeper.app to find out more. Thank you for listening.
I will say that. So for those of you that are experiencing self-doubt, for those of you that experience imposter syndrome, you might not think that you're worth the money. You might think, I'm not a good bookkeeper. I'm not as fast as I should be. I can't ask for more money. Maybe you're surprised that they're paying you at all. Who are you to ask for more money, right? You're slow at bookkeeping. You don't know how to do payroll liabilities. You're not comfortable with payroll. Who is? I always joke that you need to have that organic raspberry confidence.
Yes.
Because if organic raspberries at Whole Foods are $8.99 for 6 ounces, like you could definitely raise your prices.
I love that saying, organic raspberry confidence.
I love that because I love organic raspberries, and it will never matter how much money I make. Like if I made like $10 million a month, I would still be hesitant to spend $8.99 on raspberries, but I would know that they were worth it, right? But I'm cheap. So anyway, but in all seriousness, there was an amazing recommendation in that same article of why women don't ask for more money. And it said that when you're negotiating a raise, so in this instance, when you're negotiating a price increase, think of the other people your salary is supporting. So your negotiation doesn't seem like it's all about you. So think about the other people that this price increase is going to support. And that is how I do it, because I never think that it will not matter how successful I am in this business. I have anxiety. I have always struggled with my mental health. I will never necessarily think that I am worth it, but it really, really came to me in that moment where I just got mad when he essentially insulted my bookkeeping team. And that is always the trigger for me. Like, go ahead and insult my bookkeepers. It's just going to infuriate me. So when I'm doing this, I think about my team. Do you have a family to support? Do you have children? Do you have employees or subcontractors? You are helping support those people. I am a huge advocate of paying people a living wage or above. And I do. My labor costs are always extremely high for any accounting firm benchmark that exists at this time, because I feel like I need to support the people that are supporting my clients. And so when I'm doing these price increases, I am thinking about my team, my employees, my subcontractors, and how that trickles down. Even if this is your side hustle, maybe it's just your little extra income that you have because you're staying at home with your kids and you want to work as much as you can if you can. That extra income that you're paying your hairstylist, paying for your kids' gymnastics, it's money that is stimulating the economy through your business, no matter what size that business is. And it is important. And so if you cannot get bought in to if you're necessarily worth the money, think about it that it's not just you. It's you, it's your team. And if you can't bring yourself to think that you're worth it, you know that you love your team. And if you don't, that needs to be another conversation. And you know that your team is worth it.
That's a whole other episode.
That's a whole other episode.
So just really quickly to wrap this up, what are some kind of just rapid fire? What are some ways that you kind of got over the fear of charging more and raising your prices?
So for me, it really was putting myself aside and realizing it's not just me. And that has been a big thing for me. I have 16 employees and about 10 subcontractors that I work with right now. And so literally every single day, I think about them when I wake up and I think about them when I go to sleep and how I can create a company that they love and they want to be a part of. I can't remember what book it is, I'm never going to be one of those people, by the way, that are like, I'm going to read a quote from this, book about why or how or who or whatever. And I don't know. I'm not that intellectual. Okay. So But there is this a book with the theory that you should have a company culture so strong that people want to tattoo your logo on their body. And that has I don't know why that rang to me yeah, I want to be a part of the team where I tattooed the logo on my body because that was just that was my passion. That's my culture. Those are my people. Right. And so I always kind of think about that when I'm doing anything in my business. But in that article that I mentioned, there was one other recommendation, and that was to stop thinking about negotiation as adversarial or putting on the armor, getting ready to do battle, but instead thinking of it as solving a problem. So, you have a problem. Your gross profit is low. Your net income is low. Maybe your labor costs are high, which is literally always my problem. But again, that is another episode. How do you solve this problem? You can minimize your expenses, of course, but at the end of the day, if your costs are really under control and you're still not profiting, you need to raise your prices. Literally, every industry is experiencing a labor shortage. Don't fact check me on that. Don't fact check me on that, but that feels right. But I know that I am. I know that all of my painters are. I know that all of my trades are. Labor that we can find is more expensive. And so in this case, your clients will understand. In my case, they do. Literally every client that I have is experiencing labor shortage. So when I come to them with my price increases and I say, hey, me too, guys, good quality bookkeepers aren't going to let me pay them what my pricing model is based on, they're most likely experiencing the same problem. So your clients will definitely understand. So stop thinking about this as it's not just you. It's not necessarily just what you're worth, but what you and your team and your services are worth. And it's not a battle. You're solving a problem and you're going to provide solutions to your clients, right? And so if you're solving the problem by raising your prices, you just need to make sure that your service is in line with that price. As far as overcoming the individual self-worth, I guess, Hannah, do you have any recommendations for that aspect?
Yes. That could be a whole other episode. But I think one of the biggest things that I had to do for myself, and as corny as it sounds, I had to practice confidence and kind of fake it till you make it. That doesn't necessarily mean that what I was doing wasn't great, but I think when you're especially if you're first starting out with anything, it can be really hard to believe in yourself, and it can be really hard to see your value because you know that you're just starting off. But it sounds so simple, but just practicing confidence and really just kind of having to give yourself a pep talk, and really practice kind of positive affirmations. Like if you have a new client, tell yourself in your head, tell yourself that you're great and tell yourself that you're an expert and that this is going to go amazingly, and kind of go in with the assumption that everything is going to go amazingly, because it's going to help kind of fix the nervousness and fix maybe the scarcity mindset of having to kind of overcome a lack of confidence. But I think it's so important for no matter what industry you're in to kind of give yourself a pep talk. I mean, honestly, kind of kick yourself in the ass a little bit and just kind of practice confidence. I mean, if I've said it once, I said it 100 times, but really just kind of go in with the assumption that you are worth the price increase, that you're worth more, that you're worth having more clients, that your services are of high value. And I think that's something, especially if you're just starting out, I think people get really nervous, and the lack of confidence can be kind of a turnoff for potential clients or for current clients. And I think you really I think people need to, especially if you're new in an industry, need to practice having an attitude of, number one, abundance, and number two, of high value, and just really valuing your own services and something unique that you can provide that nobody else can.
That is so true. And there's a girl on TikTok. Again, I cannot remember who it is, so you guys are going to have to find this for me. Go ahead and figure that out. But there's a girl on TikTok, and it could not even be TikTok, guys. I saw a girl who essentially just recorded herself every day telling herself that she loved herself until and you can actually see over time, her in the beginning, not believing it. And then over time, towards the end of her recording it, seeing a difference that she really did actually love herself. And she would, throughout the videos, speak affirmations as to what she loved about herself until she did. And it was so powerful because I think it really does start there, where a lot of us do struggle with self-doubt, just not even on the business side, but on the personal side. And it is almost that same fake it till you make it. Just continue to have those positive thoughts until you bring them to fruition. But for those of you that, and just like me, that maybe I'm not there yet, right? Maybe I'm not even ready to tell myself that I love myself. Find your team. Find the people that want to tell you that they love you, and surround yourself with those types of people. And I have to be honest, that has really been the BL community and Bookkeeper Elite, to be specific, which Bookkeeper Elite technically doesn't exist anymore, but you can't get rid of us, man. We're a group of people that started back in the beginning, I think, Hannah, right? Back Ben's first and second cycles of BL family before it was this behemoth, massive organization. And it is the most uplifting and thoughtful and kind and supportive community. And I will be honest, I was at a industry event maybe, just about 2 weeks ago now, and I was even struggling with self-doubt because I'm an introvert. And we're going to talk about that on our next episode, Networking for Introverts. But I was struggling that day. I hadn't been to an event in 8 months, 9 months. I was out of practice, and I was feeling really doubtful. Oh God, I'm going to suck at this. I'm going to be the weirdo. Nobody knows me. I don't even know anything about bookkeeping. Why am I here? And it was just so terrible. And I texted my people, right? I texted some of the people from Bookkeeper Elite. I texted my executive assistant, who is just a ray of sunshine. I texted my best friends, and I was like, guys, I need you to support me right now because I can't support myself. And my God, within 30 seconds, I had 15 text messages of people telling me that I'm amazing, I'm brilliant, just be myself, because I am a ray of sunshine, which I never think of. And it was just the most supportive. I had to call on my people to help uplift me when I couldn't. And so if you can't do it yourself, that is understandable, and that is okay. And you might not be ready for that journey yet, right? I love that journey for you. But they find the people, and you will find them. You'll find them in the BL community for sure. So I think that's kind of my biggest thing is I agree with you. You really do need to put the work into yourself. And if you're not there yet, which is okay, find and surround yourself with the people that will do it for you and do it for them.
We want to hear from you guys. So next time when we circle back to pricing, we're going to actually provide some stats for you. And we're going to get some data from some of our students on how they price their services and hourly rates and cleanup rates and things of that nature. But we want to hear from you how you raise your prices and how you view pricing. So please shoot us an email at success@ilovebookkeeping.com. Again, that is success@ilovebookkeeping.com. My name is Hannah Robinson.
And I'm Melissa Honan.
And thank you for listening to the I Love Bookkeeping podcast.
I love bookkeeping. Here's a little shout to all my friends working hard at keeping the books. You want to change your life, you want to grow that biz. It's not as hard as it looks. Be a money guide, a your game and see.